name is Shell, and this is my van Shelby. It is a 95 Ford E150.
And you don't mind a rainy day, do you?
I don't. Actually, I don't. I have a really good time in here. Like a cocoon in here. It's just really comforting to be in here. As you know, in the last video, I had been attacked by this guy, and I was having some emotional, physical struggles. I was able to heal through that without needing surgery. I went out and I purchased a trailer, a small 20-foot travel trailer, but I thought this will be great for my new job at the campground. I went up to Asheville for healing, and it was just really, when I first pulled into the campground that I was going to work at, Shenandoah River was going right through the middle. I started crying because I was like, I just felt so emotional. It was so, I can't even explain it. It was just so good, and I just felt like I could breathe. I stayed there for about almost 6 months, and it was the first time that I was really able to put myself first as a human, not a mother, not a daughter, just me, just me. Towards the end, it started raining a lot, and I was okay with that. I loved being in my camper. And the fire department came. It had been raining for some days, and we had been hearing about this Hurricane Helene. Fire department came, and he says, well, all the people you have in the back, move them to the front. We think you're going to be okay. Then about 1 o'clock in the morning, I started hearing yelling and screaming and banging on doors and windows, and people were calling me saying, get out. He said they have instructed us to go to the Ingalls, which was higher ground. We were bordering Asheville, so it was heading into the border of Asheville and Shenandoah, North Carolina. Then about 6 o'clock, the power went out. It was still dark. And I started noticing that the water was rising where I was. But by then, like, the parking lot was full of people at this point. And I opened my door of my van, and it was up about halfway on the tire. I'm going to call Red Cross, and I'm going to see if there's somewhere else that I can go while I can get out. And they gave me directions to a shelter. I drove on the grass to get out because the water was so high, and it was coming down in sheets of water. Really hard rain, lots of wind. The trees were really swaying, and it was unsettling. Across the street and behind that strip mall was the Shenandoah River, so I still was close to the river that merged with the French Broad River and caused such catastrophic event there. When I get down to the cross street, there's a light there, and I notice there's police officers there, and they're putting up barricades, and they're flagging me down, and they say, where are you going? I said, I'm trying to go to the shelter. They said, well, you can't cross because there's a sinkhole there. So I went to the gas station. Everywhere was flooded. I mean, it was an island, but it was kind of big at the time, but you couldn't go anywhere else. By now it's about 10 o'clock in the morning, and it's still raining, sheets of water. It's dark. It almost looks like it's nighttime. It's so bad. And we noticed that the river over there is now breached, and it's now coming up into the gas station that's across the street from us. And there's a big rush of water on this side, which was not a river. There's restaurants and parking lots and things over there. It just suddenly started rushing and flowing really hard, and I got really nervous at that point. I really started feeling emotional at that point and a little bit scared. There was 2 women and 12 men. And he said, if this water starts breaching the parking lot of the gas station, then you guys come in. We're elevated about 4 or 5 inches, which every inch will matter when you have water rushing in. And then maybe around an hour and a half later or so, the water was really closing in, and it got to the point where it was about halfway up my tire, and he said, okay, let's everybody go into the gas station. The power was out. An off-duty paramedic with his brother in the gas station. People were starting to feel scared. So he stepped up and he said, hey, if water really starts breaching in here, we're all going to climb on the roof. We will go get a ladder. There's ice, where you buy ice from, an ice cooler out there. We'll climb up there. We'll boost everybody up, ladies first, and then we'll get up on the top of the roof. So his brother said, hey, there's a tall van out there. We can climb on the ladder on the van and then hop on the roof. The owner of the van said, no, you're not. you guys are not going to use my van.
Okay.
So they got kind of testy with this guy. You know, one of the men, he said, if push comes to shove, like, we are going to use your van. You're just going to have to get over it. I mean, they were getting a little. And so the paramedic guy, he said, hey, let's just calm down. People are already stressed. Nerves are bad. My heart was racing. I was like, oh my gosh, are they going to start fighting? And so things kind of calmed down a little bit. And people were feeling a little bit better because they were starting to chat and talk to each other. And after a couple of hours, we saw the emergency workers that are on a raft. They were looking around or seeing if they could rescue people. At first I was like happy because I was like, okay, they're going to rescue us. They're going to send a fire truck or something to come and get us. I don't know, a helicopter or something to come and get us. But they just waved and kept going. Once we were inside of the store, it was really still because I think it was really real. Like at that point, like we're really like just stranded in the store, surrounded by water, fast moving water. And I mean, it was really, really fast moving water. And the wind was I never knew I was afraid of wind, but it was so loud. I was super emotional. I thought I was going to die. I thought we were going to die there. The paramedic, he kind of pulled us all together. You know, we were without power. We were without cell phone service. I'm sorry. And we didn't know who knew where we were or when somebody would be able to come and help us, or even if we were going to make it out. Well, this paramedic guy, you know, he came around and he talked to us all and he put his hand on our shoulder or our back, and he was so nice because he asked, you know, is it okay if I pat your shoulder? He said, it's going to be okay. The fire department knows that we're here because I'm here and I let them know. They really can't rescue anybody because it's dangerous for everybody. So he said, but panicking's not going to help. So we don't want to panic. Let's just try to breathe. He did. It's kind of funny because he was this big burly guy, maybe about 6'3", 250 pounds. And he was saying, let's breathe. Let's drop it down. And it was so good. It would have been pandemonium. People were really afraid. And just his voice was calming. Like he just really knew what he was. I don't know if it's because he was a paramedic, but he was really calming. And he said, I have that lifted truck out there. He said, I'll be the first one to go out and I'll be the tester. If my truck can't get through, then nobody else is going to be able to get through. And he did just that. Finally, about 3:30 or so, we were in the store and it was just raining. Just, I thought the glass was going to break. It was raining.
Storming.
Yes. And the water. So here's the door to the store, the threshold for the store, and the water would just kind of surge up and then go back. It surge up and then go back. And then the water, it just stopped raining. It just stopped raining. And the clouds just went away and it was sunny, almost like this. It was so incredibly moving. We were all looking like, is this real? It was really surreal. It got really quiet and really still, and the water, like we could see the water receding. It's just incredible, and I have it on video. This is crazy. It's like a war zone. And the sun up there. I could feel a sense of, I'm going to be okay. I'm going to get to see my kids again. You know, the people with me are going to get to see their kids and their family. So this paramedic, he said, I'm going to go out in my truck and see what I can see. And he says, I won't abandon you guys. I'm going to come back even if I can go further. He came back about 10 minutes later. He said, no, it's not safe. We have to stay here. And so now, because the water's receding, we were all able to go back to our vehicles. And I was in the van I made myself lunch, and I guess it was probably dinner. And then I went back in the store. I wanted to check on the other ladies and just kind of check in because we had kind of like a micro community. You know, we got to know each other, and some of us exchanged phone numbers and said that we would check in with each other. We didn't have phone service, and this lady had her phone service came on. Just as I was walking by, I said, "Oh my gosh, I know my daughter is freaking out not being able to reach me." She said, "I'm going to let you call your daughter." And I called my daughter, and I was holding it together at that point. I wasn't crying, but when she heard my voice, she just started screaming, literally for like 3 minutes straight. She was just screaming. So she said, "I'm going to come and get you." I said, "You can't come and get me, because if you could come and get me, I could leave. You wouldn't have to come and get me." But I appreciated the sentiment. She said, "I've called every single agency. I've gotten on every single group and put your name out there looking for you." I'm sorry. So I said, "Okay." I said, "I don't know how long we're going to have service, or when my service is going to be restored, or how long this wonderful woman is going to be here." I said, "But I don't want you to panic. I don't want you to think the worst. The worst is over. I'm going to be okay, and we'll be together again soon." And she said, "Oh, okay." I could hear that she was worried, though. You know, I thanked the lady. I was so grateful. And I told my daughter, you know, let my mom and son and everybody else know that I'm okay. About 7 o'clock in the evening, I started seeing a lot of movement because the water's really receding now. So we're starting to see a lot of movement, and the cars can pass in certain areas. And I thought, well, maybe, I wonder if I could get back to the campground. So I walked over and I asked the police officer, and he said, "You can, but you have to get on the freeway and go all the way around through Black Mountain." And I said, "Okay, I'll do that." But then it was dark, and I was like, no, I'm not going to go. So I just stopped at the Dollar General small strip mall there. There were a lot of people parked there, and I thought, this is a good place to spend the night. And then the next morning, it was Saturday morning, I said, okay, well, let me go and see what I can see, you know. Let me get a first look on the travel trailer, the campground. I still did not have phone service. So I tried to stay where there's lots of people in case I ended up in a sinkhole, or, you know, because there's mud and water still standing everywhere. Like feet of it. We're just inching through it. I noticed that there's a little market open. Let me go in there and get some snacks. And they're working on a cash basis. It's a good thing to have $20 or $30 in cash, because you never know. So I go in there, but there's somebody in there that doesn't have cash. And so she's got a young one with her, and I said, I'm going to pay for her order because she doesn't have a way. For kids, snacks are important, you know. And so I said, I'm going to pay for her snack and her water. And the lady was super grateful. And it made me feel good. You know, I felt really good. I love helping people, you know. I picked up a couple things and I left, and I went down to the campground, and it was decimated. Like, it was so bad. I couldn't go in because there was still mud and water everywhere. For me, though, my camper was the first one in on the right side. So I was able to kind of scooch in there a little bit, get a little bit of mud, and see. I knew it was going to be a total loss because the mud was up above the bumper.
It was inside.
Mud did get inside. It got inside. I didn't go in it that day. I just, because there was still so much standing water and mud, and I wasn't sure what was stable. I said, well, I guess I'll just sleep here tonight, because I didn't know what to do. None of my coworkers were there. There was nobody really around. It was about 8 o'clock in the morning. So I went up to Black Mountain, which is a little bit higher elevation. So they had damage there, but not as much as where I was. It's about 5 miles up the road. And on the sides of the roads and in the gas station, and these businesses were not open because there was no power. So then I started thinking, well, maybe it's not a good idea to try to travel 12 or 15 miles. Maybe I should stay local. So I turned around, and I was going to go back to the campground because I didn't know where else to go, and I figured my coworkers or my manager or somebody would show up there. Well, I noticed off on the side that the fire department is there, and I said, oh, they have porta potties outside, so I'll go outside. I'll go there and use the bathroom. So I went to use the bathroom there, and I hear this lady. She's about my age, and she's telling the firemen, "Can I please have some water? My 92-year-old mother and her friend are at the house. We don't have any water, and they need to take their medicine." So he says, "I can give you a bottle of water." And in my head, I was thinking, what is one bottle of water going to do? But then on the other hand, I was like, maybe that's all he has. And I said, "Excuse me, ma'am." I said, "I overheard you ask for a bottle of water." I said, "I have a case in my van that I'm willing to give to you." And she said, No, I can't." I said, I have more than one. I have enough to share. I bought enough in case I needed to share with somebody. And she said, "Really?" I said, "Yes, please let me give it to you." And so she said, "I'll take a half a case." I said, "Okay, fair enough, you know." And she did. And we still talk. We chat
Nice.
like, yes, it's good. It's really good. She's so grateful. And I'm grateful also that I was able to help her.
That's because you had a van.
Yes,
You had a go
it's
bag.
so good.
You had a get out of town
Yes.
vehicle.
Oh my gosh, I
Yeah.
couldn't imagine.
Because
Not
if you had just been in a car, if you'd been working at Walmart and living somewhere in an apartment, you wouldn't have had all that to
That's
share. You
right.
wouldn't have been there.
That's right.
So,
That's
yeah.
right. That is so true. It's my bug out van.
Yeah.
In that van, I tell you, Jan, it's almost 30 years old, but I'm just so grateful for it. You know, it got me there. It needed some repairs. And the guy, when he did the repairs, he said, "Don't drive this further than Ingalls." I said, "Okay." And so I was saving, thinking, okay, it's time to get a new van. He said, "It's not even worth the repair." So I said, okay. Well, guess what? After the flood, I didn't have a choice. I did not have a choice. So I helped the lady. I went back down to the campground, and I was going to stay the night there. But this man and this woman, who were not a couple, but they had been staying at a shelter together, were camping at our campground. They knew me because I worked there. "But if you want, you can follow us to the Red Cross." So I said, "Sure, that'll be wonderful." And I said, "The one down the street?" He said, "No, that one flooded. The one I couldn't get to flooded." So it was a blessing that I was at the gas station.
Mm-hmm.
It was.
Mm-hmm.
So he said, "Follow us, and we'll get you to the shelter." So I said, "Okay." The Red Cross. About 45 minutes later, we were south of Asheville, near I-26, but I didn't know it at the time. I didn't know where I was. I didn't have any GPS. I'd never been to that part of Asheville. So I got there, and they said, "We don't have any beds." I said, "It's okay. It's okay. I have a bed in my van, so it's okay. And even if you did, I would leave it for somebody else." I said, "I just need a safe place to park, get water, that type of thing." And she said, "Okay, we're going to log you in." Stayed there that Saturday night, Sunday night, and then Monday morning, I got a text from my friend who said, my friend who was a coworker, she said, "I'm back in Florida." I said, "Back in Florida? How'd you get back to Florida?" She said, "I-26 is open." I said, "That's interesting. They've been saying that it's closed." So I text my daughter. I couldn't text her fast enough. I said, "Look up reverse directions," because we couldn't get pictures. We couldn't get phone calls. I said, "And text me how I can get out of here." I had no idea I was less than a mile away from I-26. And so I got on I-26. I said, I have enough gas to get to, I had half a tank of gas. I had enough gas to get to Greenville, South Carolina. So I got there, and they had tape over the 2 lowest grades of gas. And I said, okay, I'm going to buy premium. I don't care. Whatever I need to do to get out of here, get back to Jacksonville. So I walk up, and I said, I'd like to fill up my van. And he said, we're out of gas. And my heart sank. I almost hit the floor. Like, I literally almost hit the floor. And he said, wait a minute. What are you driving? I said, a 95 Ford E150. He said, you are in business. We have ethanol free, I think it's called. Ethanol free. And I said, what does that mean? He said, it's made for older vehicles.
Oh.
I couldn't fill it up fast enough. I was like, okay, $75, you know.
It was just the right.
Yes,
it was Goldilocks.
It was so good. And so I was like, okay. I cranked it up, and it cranked right up.
It was probably better for your vehicle.
It was better. No little knocking or pinging or anything. Got on the freeway and I was kind of afraid to mash the gas, and then I started going and I was like, and I just went straight to Jacksonville. I didn't stop. I didn't look back. I just drove 55 all the way to Jacksonville. And I was feeling a sense of sadness because I loved Asheville. It was so healing. It was so incredibly healing for me. This flood will not take that from me. I still
You got what you needed.
Yes, I got exactly what I needed. Got back to Jacksonville and have some PTSD. It was. I'm doing better now, even though I'm crying, but I really am doing better. The first few weeks were rough. I couldn't sleep, and I had nightmares about my daughter screaming, and nightmares thinking that I was going to die in water, and all my stuff up there, and just that kind of trauma-induced thing.
Right.
But then I got to come to a meetup, and the people here, like I can't even begin. If you are out there and you're alone, join the meetups, join the groups. I'm in the Butterfly Tracks meetup group and camping, and these women are phenomenal. They welcome everybody with open arms, warm hearts, and it's just, you guys really blessed me. I'm so grateful. There are women here who are camping in their vehicles, like a car, Chrysler Pacifica, Dodge Caravan, vans, from minivans all the way up to, I think there's a Class C motorhome here, or there's a few Class C motorhomes here.
Yeah, big.
There's people who are tent camping. We're really out here encouraging each other, inspiring each other, and being supportive of each other. It's just, it's hard to put myself first. Like, I can come here and I can have peace, or I can go commingle, or play the games, or I can go hang out in my van.
Whatever you need.
Yes. Go sit by the, I'll have to tell you, the weather was, yesterday afternoon, it was pretty rainy here and the water was pretty choppy. When I left the van and came over to go to the bathroom, I had a little trauma because the wind was loud and the water was choppy, and it kind of caught me off guard.
Yeah, it was a little PTSD trigger.
Yes. But I was able to regroup from it rather quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I'm good. Like, I'm really in a good space. From the gate, the person at the gate is warm and welcoming, and then when we figure out what size rig goes where, they're warm and welcoming. Everyone here is so kind.
It's very peaceful.
People are sincere.
Mm-hmm.
People are sincere. There were moments when I realized that I needed to do something different so that I can heal. I'm nurturing others, helping others, healing others. But what about me as a person? And then I'm single, my children are grown. I refuse to just sit. I know I've said this before, and I mean this with my every fiber of my being. I will not sit in a four-wall place that's stationary and just watch TV until I die. This world is beautiful. This country is beautiful. Even right here locally. You don't have to go far. You can go to the next campground or to a local park and just spend the day and enjoy nature.
Yeah.
It's naturally healing.
Yes.
When I encourage people to just get out and start, I had to get out and start, and now I'm much more comfortable at the events, and that's part of healing. I used to say that I was introverted, but coming to these has taught me I'm not introverted. I just like my peace. And so I see, for me, I was in property management for all those years. I'm not going to go back to that. When I worked at the campground, it was peaceful. I loved it. Like, I loved every minute of it, and it was just so good. It was just so good. And so I see myself continuing, as I do need to work because I have some financial challenges, but I do need to work, but I need to get back into work where I can continue to grow emotionally and heal. I feel like it's probably going to be lifelong for me, and I'm okay with that. But I'm going to always push forward. I'm going to push myself to push forward. I don't do as much social media as I used to on like Facebook and Instagram. I do the groups, like the Butterfly Tracks group. I'm in there a lot because that group is positive. I try to stay away from the negative kinds of things. And I do like YouTube a lot. I'm obsessed with van tours and van life. I'm just absolutely obsessed with it. My goal is to one day get a piece of land and have 3 or 4 other women and a food forest and, a safe space, safe haven for us. My YouTube channel is Shelby Van Gone. So I do have my new van. It's new to me now. I was kind of stationary, so I wasn't posting because I kind of thought, who's interested in me being stationary? So I'm going to be posting weekly at Shelby Van Gone, and I will do a few van tours, but it's mostly going to be like my van life and my quirky ways and organizing, decorating vans and that kind of thing.
That's good. And I know that people will be interested in that because whatever you do, it will be authentic. I know.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
And your new van is, new to you van. It
Yes.
looks brand new. It really is beautiful.
My gosh, it is. Thank
It's
you.
so pretty inside.
I just love it. You know what I learned through this process? So none of my adult life have I had a birthday. This is due to childhood trauma. I never wanted to celebrate my birthday. I just didn't. After I survived that, I said, I'm going to have a 61st birthday party, and I'm going to have my camping friends. I am celebrating, embracing my life. I appreciate my life. I'm going to do all the cool, fun things, and I'm going to live. I am going to live like this is going to be great, Great days are here. They're here now.